Hello and welcome to Surveyor Says, the podcast from the National Society of Professional Surveyors. Each week, we bring you fascinating guests that are involved in the profession of surveying. My name is Tim Burch, and I'm the Executive Director for the National Society of Professional Surveyors and your host for the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast on most of your favorite streaming platforms, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. For more information about the podcast and NSPS, please visit our website, nsps.us.com. So, without further delay, here's our next episode of Surveyor Says, the NSPS Podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Surveyor Says. I'm your host, Tim Burch. Hey, I'm in the office. I'm in the studio, not on the road for a change. We've been trying to track down all these people on the road, and we've had some great interviews, but you know what? I'm back in the office getting some work done, and I'm talking to an old friend from Illinois. He's been around Central Illinois for quite a while, and you probably know him from various circles. It's Mr. Todd Horton. Are you technically retired, even though you're working?
Yeah, I retired from full-time teaching in 2023.
Yes, I thought you were retired. So yes, former leader of the survey program there at Parkland College in Champaign-Urbana, and now he's just on the speaking circuit doing his thing, teaching and training and things. So today's topic is survey technician training, and I've been kind of sitting back watching all of what Todd's been doing because he's been taking this little roadshow around, and so thought we would get together and talk about how important the survey training is for technicians, because as we were just talking off camera, it's continuing education is a big thing for the professionals, but we're really not addressing the needs of the survey technician all that much, unless you're talking programs like Todd. So that's why we're here. So Mr. Horton, tell us a little bit about yourself and what drove you to want to do this in retirement?
Well, thanks, Tim. It's good to be with you here today and a chance to talk about something I know we're both pretty passionate about. Um, I spent 25 years teaching at Parkland College, which is a community college in Champaign, and it's across town from the University of Illinois. And I started out in what we called construction management. And back in the early 2000s, the Illinois Professional Land Surveyors Association asked us to put together an associate degree program in surveying. Well, um, uh, now I have retired from that, and Corey Allred is very capably carrying that on and really growing the program, and it's serving a lot of people. Um, but way down deep, what I enjoy is training. There are things I don't miss about the collegiate environment. I
Yeah.
don't miss grading papers, and I don't miss all the administrative stuff. What I really enjoy is working with people, helping them develop skills. And so in my retirement, I'm able to do more stuff on the road, going to most recently places like Michigan and Indiana, Michigan especially, has really been stepping up and saying, yes, we want to do technician skill training. So I really have enjoyed that. Of course, in addition to that, I work part-time for um, a regional company here, 2 or 3 days a week for Farnsworth Group Incorporated, in the office doing commercial surveys. But but they've been enormously supportive, and here during the recent conference season, I've been on the road a little bit, not near as much as you or Gary Kent, but nonetheless on the road a bit, and so that's kind of where I'm at these days. But way down deep, I really enjoy skill training. I enjoy helping people understand things that they didn't get before, develop new skills. So that's where I'm at.
Well, well, thank you for that because I mean, like I said, the number of years we've known each other, and I've sat in a bunch of your presentations, and yes, there's always been the good. I mean, there's been boundary stuff, there's been coordinate stuff, there's been other stuff, but it just seems like there's a little more gleam in your eye when you're talking about survey technicians, and training, and establishing that skill set that the basically the base layer of everything we're doing surveying. These young people we're sending out, well, not always young, but sometimes mostly young. It's the core capabilities they need, and I guess that's when you started this little roadshow. I thought it was a great thing, and I'm glad that it's catching on. So, well, you mentioned Michigan, so tell us what's going on in Michigan that it's ripe for technician training.
Well, I am really privileged to get to work with some forward-thinking folks in Michigan. The leadership there has really prioritized training for technicians. The current association president in Michigan, Chris Beeland, he's with PEA Group there in Central Michigan. When he was a few years ago, when he was in a education committee chair role, reached out and said, "Hey, we'd like to develop some training for technicians, and sounds like you have some experience with that." And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." So under their leadership, we collaborated to develop this thing we call Surveyor Boot Camp. They decided, yeah, that's the right name for it, and that's really the right spirit for it. So Surveyor Boot Camp has evolved into a 4.5 day training that's about 50% hands-on,
Nice.
outside in the field. And they have gotten great support from Seiler Geospatial. Seiler shows up with all the equipment we need,
Nice.
and it's impressive. But that boot camp event is designed to serve people with 18 months experience or less. Now, we've had some people in there with more than that. Just recently, we offered it for the first time in Indiana, and one of the participants already had 9 years of experience. And he said, I came in here with a little bit of an attitude, thinking, now, what are they going to teach me? And he came out saying, wow, I had no idea that I needed to learn so much. And this has really, really helped me. So uh, we've also had somebody in one of the sessions that had been hired into a survey technician role the week prior. So
Oh my
he
goodness.
had a little bit of a deer in the headlights look to him, but he was enormously grateful for having at least a preview. So that the Surveyor Boot Camp kind of spun off a couple of other things. We've got a couple other 2-day sessions that they're all classroom, but even in the classroom, there's a great deal of hands-on, whether that's plan reading or computations or working with some software. And real survey applications. So those have been very well received. We're now to the point between Michigan and Indiana, there's really kind of a curriculum of survey boot camp plus 4 other 2-day sessions that we're hoping will become kind of a regular part of an annual or biannual cycle, so everybody can count on it. So
Very,
that's pretty
yeah,
cool. But my hat's off to
yeah.
Michigan because they really
Oh,
have stepped up. And then the folks down in Indiana are saying, "Ooh, we see what they're doing. We want to do that too."
oh, well, good. That is good. Well, I got to ask because we're into an age, and I mean, we've been in this age for, I don't know, 15, 20 years now, where it's really been the push with technology to the one-man crews. So
Yeah.
I guess my question would be for somebody like the 9-year guy that comes in,
Mhm.
Not knowing whether he's on a one-man crew, two-man crew, whatever, but it just seems like there's today's technicians that are sent out one-man crews, or even with another guy. There's so much emphasis on that single guy robot or GNSS unit or something, that they're working solo. There's not that much opportunity to learn anything other than, oh, I can collect data faster.
Yeah.
So tell me, what when you say the 9-year guy kind of opened his eyes, I mean, is that part of the case, or what was his eyes open to? Do you know?
That's a good question. Generally, the pattern when somebody has has that kind of experience is they're saying, well, now I'm starting to understand the why behind the what. That, when the boss says, I know you'd prefer to use the robot to do this, but I want you to run levels across this. you know well, now they're understanding why, because they've actually in surveyor boot camp, what we enable them to do is, well, long story short, by the end of the week they have leveled across some control points. They've shot them in with a total station, a conventional total station.
Mm-hmm.
They call that robot appreciation day,
Yeah.
because it doesn't turn itself. Turning sets of angles, shooting those distances and comping those elevations. And they also shoot the very same points in with GPS. And then I will go ahead and come up with the standard deviations on all their results and show them, hey, look at which one gets you the better elevation. Now do you understand why the boss wants you to level across it? Oh,
Oh,
the light bulb comes on, but they're starting to understand the why behind the what. Um, so that's really huge, because you see that takes somebody from being somebody taught me last week, a buttonologist, or
buttonologist.
a buttonologist. Yeah, that was a new term for me too. Or a
Buttonologist.
click
Okay.
monkey, or a glorified button pusher. We take them from being that to a troubleshooter,
Right.
when they understand the why. And that's really what we want from all of our technicians.
Yep. Well, exactly. And I guess that to me is the one of the bigger challenges that I think we as an industry face. That we've got companies and department heads and bosses that are, it's we're under the gun. It's on a budget. It's time is money. But yet, you do want it done properly. And are we if we're truly affording these technicians an opportunity to learn something correctly? So that's why
Yeah,
I really like where this is going as far as establishing some of the core competencies for that field technician.
yeah. One of the things that um, I'm struck by is certainly our history, depending on mentoring. And I talk to a lot of people that are just, you could tell they really long for those days, but those aren't coming back in the form that we had them. And we have changed our business practices as it relates to the technology we use. Obviously, our crew sizes are smaller, just our workflows are so very different. So why wouldn't it make sense that we approach that our training approach has to be different too? We've adapted in so many ways, and I think it's challenging for us as an industry to do more structured training, because it hasn't been a part of our culture prior to now. So I think we are really looking at a shift in our cultural values, that says, we have to build training into what we do more intentionally than we have before, because just our crew size of the past, it just made training happen.
Right.
But because of the pressure to make somebody as productive as possible with a robot and a rover as quickly as possible, we're we get somebody and we feel pretty good if we can get them their own truck and their own gear and they're operating independently in a year. It's like, wow, that's a lot of pressure. Um, but they still need support. So I know it's an uphill struggle for us culturally as an industry to make that kind of change, but it was also an uphill struggle to adapt to uh, computer aided drafting, GPS, scanning, photogrammetry, all that kind of stuff. So this is another change that is a natural consequence of adopting other changes.
Oh, exactly. And that's something, to thinking of Michigan and uh past treasurer, past president of NSPS, John Fenn, something he
Mhm.
famously said at a lot of NSPS meetings is that, what we're doing with the technicians, and it's even more so today that you're giving them a truck, you're giving them an instrument. In a lot of cases, it's a robot and a GNSS. Some now are carrying UAVs and other. I mean, by the time you add that all up and the liability, it's a
Mhm.
huge number. And
It
that we're
is.
putting all of this trust and reliance on this person that we really truly need to make sure that they are trained to to accomplish what they're set out to do. A question I have for you, and this is more of a personal opinion than anything,
Sure.
because it's such a breakneck pace that all of our companies are at. You show me a surveyor that says he's not busy, I'll show you somebody that's probably not a very good business person. Uh,
Mm.
Everybody's busy, and we're putting more, and because we're having less PLSs, we're putting more technicians underneath them, both field and office. And
Mhm.
that puts a lot of responsibility on the PLS, and I think it puts a lot of responsibility on the technician drawing it up. It puts that much more on the technician collecting it. Um, isn't it almost amplified now that at the field and drafting stage that those people really need to be that much better trained?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the person that's actually going to sign off on it, there's not the time to verify everything like we used to have, in my
Oh,
opinion.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, I tend to agree. In fact, the the technician that we all want is somebody that can jump back and forth between office and field and can bring the stuff in, process it, maybe even do most of the boundary analysis, pull the pieces together, and slap it on the desk saying, hey, clean this up, tweak it, and if you're ready, let's go ahead and sign it and get it out the door. Um, and yeah, we're operating organizationally, I think, perhaps leaner, but in the process, I think for the professionals, I think what we're doing is trying to still keep people that are emerging into leadership positions and trying to keep them as productive as possible for as long as possible, where they really need to be letting go of the production work so they can focus on leadership and developing their people. So that's a two-edged sword. You spend all this time getting this guy. He's really good as a surveyor, and then we just assume that, oh well, it's time for you to be a supervisor. Have you been trained? No.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Well, it doesn't work that well that way. Um, and so you get an awful lot of struggle. Stress goes way up because the folks they've accepted a job that they want because there's a raise that comes with it, and I got kids at home and I've got demands, and oh man, I'd be a fool not to accept the promotion, but I don't feel qualified. Man, there's a lot of stress in that.
Oh, the tremendous amount. Yeah, I remember a few of those
And
days and wondering if I was making the right decision. But
now
um,
it's not unique to surveying. I mean, it's
well,
really the
no,
human
no.
condition. It's very much a Western condition. But ooh, if if it was mine to deal with, excuse me, I have a cat I got to remove. Um, uh, if it was mine to deal with, I would say many of our PLSs need very much to have for the permission to let go of more of the technical and spend some time developing as leaders, developing as supervisors, and then investing in their people. In fact, equipping the people for growth. That's probably the most important role of a PLS who's supervising multiple people is is taking care of those people and equipping them with with the gear they need, with the software they need, with the time to do it, and the training. And I think the training really communicates the priority of I, as a supervisor, am investing in you as a fellow professional.
Oh, exactly. Well, no, I love those points. That's a great point, and how those two work together. I'm going to take a step back because I'd be amiss as an employee of NSPS to not ask, how does this technician program fit within the framework of the CST? Because I'm
Oh
curious
man,
you're talking with you. I mean, I mean, thank you, Siler Geospatial. They help so in so many places, and
yeah.
I'm glad to hear that's one of your partners there. They're learning on this new equipment. It's all that great stuff. But how does it relate back, if at all, to the CST and some of the basics? I mean, that you just walked through the various levels
Yeah,
of leveling versus total station versus
sure.
GPS. How does that all fit together?
Well, first of all, I'm a big supporter of CST. You know, I've proctored the exam several times, promoted that when I was teaching full time. Several of my graduates went through that, and I absolutely believe in CST. And in Michigan, we had a very important conversation early on, and I asked the question: Okay, do we want to make this a CST program? And we had some very, I think, constructive debate. And it was clarifying for me. And it basically boiled down to this: CST is very valuable as a credential, especially in the hiring process. Okay.
Agreed.
But, but they said in Michigan, hey, our immediate need is skills because skills, help what we're doing today, not necessarily what's coming up down the road. Now, does can CST help somebody improve today? Yes, but the CST program, just the way it works and it's structured, it's a knowledge based credential. Yes, experience is part of it. But their priority was, CST will be nice. It's probably not the right thing for us to do right now because our more immediate need is skills. I think CST is valuable for affirming the skills. Yes, it establishes a credential, but I think it's really the natural follow on to skill training. CSD is the natural follow on. So I absolutely
Good.
support it. And I think the skill training that I've been able to help Michigan with um, leads in that direction. What we've talked about in Michigan is really kind of this developing and blossoming curriculum. So it may very well be that eventually Michigan has this annually recurring cycle of training, and then you start adding on to that, maybe some intermediate training, maybe CST prep. So their vision is bigger than what we have developed so far. And I absolutely applaud that. And of course, I
Good.
want to support that because I absolutely believe in what they're doing.
Good. Good. Like I said, in the end, you're right. Uh, I've talked at great length with the CST board. I think there are some things that we need to modernize and make sure that it kind of fits in the industry's needs now somewhat, but there does need to be some basics in there, some core competencies. And I'm glad that it can work together. It's working in concert. So no, that's good. Um, how is this to get together? I guess CST, this program, and anything, how does it fit with anything that's existing out there as far as resources out there?
Okay.
Any other training? I mean, stuff like going to Trimble Dimensions and learning stuff. I mean, how does this all fit together?
I think all those things have great value. But the other part of this is not everybody learns the same way. You know, I I have taught courses that were primarily online, and I got to tell you, I don't ever want to take an online course. I'm just not wired that way. You
Exactly.
know, I need my butt in a seat. I need to go somewhere for the very specific purpose of learning because that helps me focus. And I know a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are in our technician ranks. I'm sorry, I got a cough. Oh, sorry about that.
Mhm.
A lot of people in our technician ranks are very hands-on kind of people. They learn by doing. And that is not a criticism. I am one of those people. I learn by doing. Um, you know, so my priorities when we're doing technician training is we do as much as possible. In fact, I'm collaborating with a guy in Michigan who a guy named Dan Pratt. He and I are going to be co-instructing the boundary class we're doing up in Lansing, April 9 and 10. And our conversation when we're putting this together, our very first priority is asking the question, what will the participants do? Okay, what will they do during this seminar, and specifically what skills are we going to work on? And so that priority then drives what traditional classroom instruction we will do. Well, why are we trying to answer that question? Because we know that enormous percentage of our technicians learn by doing. That's the kind of training they
Hmm.
want. Now, Illinois Professional Land Surveyors Association has a very well-developed online training program. Okay. I've, friends that have worked and helped to develop that content, and there are people in multiple states taking advantage of that. Good for them. And, that's a fit for them. But there are plenty of other people that would rather do something like, as you said, go to Trimble Dimensions, great resource, or attend an annual conference. Wisconsin does a great job in their conference of making sure that every session in their conference has something for technicians. Some folks they're good at self-study.
Hmm.
Um, some of us like to study at the University of YouTube,
Yeah.
and we're grateful for, Robert the Surveyor and what is it, Shay Gleadle with the Third Dimension and a couple of others that are, putting good content on there. So, man, there are just so many resources. And some people live close enough to a collegiate survey program that they can take advantage of that. But not everybody has the same opportunities. Not everybody has the same learning preference. So I believe what Michigan and now Indiana is doing um, is just one more option for employers to provide for their employees to say, hey, here's this training. We'd really, support you if you want to go do this.
You bet. Well, I guess, and one of my last and probably bigger uh, bigger futuristic questions is Todd Horton's not going to do this forever. Todd Horton's going to want to be actually retire someday. I
Yeah,
would think. Um, how do we keep this going? How is this sustainable? How do we get others interested to want to grow this?
that's a that's a question I've been wrestling with for the last couple of years, and here's where here's where I want to offer an invitation to everybody listening. Um, but let me preface the invitation first with an important observation. Um, there are not enough technician trainers to go around. The limiting factor in technician training is trainers. There are just not very many of us. Um, so my goal is not only to provide technician training, but to train trainers. So
Bingo.
my invitation is this: come become a co-instructor with me and help me deliver these training sessions. You know, if your state association says, yeah, we want to do that, then come be a co-instructor with me. And then after you've done this a couple of times, you get to the point where you say, you know, I think I could do this. Then I'll give you the material. But you see, I understand that if we said, hey, we need volunteers to put together a training program, man, that's a daunting task, you know, for somebody that's never done it
Yep.
before, because then you got to say, well, what do we teach? And where do I get the material? And man, I've never organized anything like that. Man, how long is it going to take? Man, this sounds like a huge opportunity for failure real quick. Well, my goal as an experienced instructor is to say, let me make it easy to say yes. I'll do my best to take the fear out of it by saying, here, come work with me in a controlled environment. You know, I've done the hard work, and I'm not gonna say, oh, you can't use it because it's copyrighted. I'll license it to you. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
You know, and nothing I'm doing is original with me. It's all just surveying information. So come be a co-instructor, come partner with me. In fact, maybe some mentoring might happen. You never know.
Yeah.
But in the long term, I want to help instruct or people that are interested to become instructors. Then I think there's another piece of this, and I think this is where state associations can step up, and that is a state association like Michigan, for instance. We're already talking and have been talking for a while about, you know, we're going to have to build a train the trainer effort that's going to be ongoing. So if you're going to build a training program, then you're also going to have to build a train the trainer program if you want the whole thing to keep going. It's kind of like, you know, if you buy a car and you want to drive it very far, eventually you got to put fuel in it. And you're going to have to keep putting fuel in it. Well, what's the fuel for a training program? It's trainers. So we very much have to, you know, realize that training is not a one and done thing, but I would love to see, I would love to see within state associations that technician training becomes really part of our DNA. This is why
Mm-hmm.
we're here. We're not just trying to preserve what we've got. We're looking ahead to the future and saying, how can we best prepare our people for for doing a better job of what they do right now, but preparing them to become troubleshooters and future professionals in the near term and the long term. You know, so training is one thing, but I'm saying let me help train the trainer in the near term, and then let me help you as associations stand up your own train the trainer program. So that's kind of my vision. I'm going to train. as long as I can and as long as I can be relevant. But what I feel like I can do, have the best positive impact if people can come along with me and learn from me, because we need more trainers, and I want to help.
Oh, exactly. Well, and I want to make one little last plea to the world, talking to the employers. That's probably my one biggest pet peeve on anything young surveyors, anything technicians, are the employers that will not support their employees doing this, or if if they do allow them to go, it's on their own vacation time, it's on their own dime. That this training is actually uh, helping to solidify the employer's business by getting their people better qualified, better informed, better qualified for their work. But yet they won't invest in that, which they don't see it as investment. They see it as lost revenue and lost time. And that's, unfortunately, that's the wrong way to look at it.
In every business, the most valuable asset that every company, every organization has is their people. I've shared with, I can't remember where, but recently I was sharing with a group of younger folks that, the value you bring to a company is not the skills you already have. It's your capacity to learn new things, your capacity to learn. And so I think forward thinking organizations are the ones that are saying, yeah, we're going to grow. And because we want to grow, we need to help our people grow and gain new skills, because they're the ones that are going to carry us forward. I've seen, and it's almost to the level of a meme on the internet. When people talk about trainings, someone will say things. The pessimist will say, "Well, what if we train them and they leave? That'd be bad. What if you don't and they stay? Whoa, whoa, what if you don't train them and they stay? What does that tell you? If in the NSPS creed,
Mm-hmm.
we dedicate our skills and abilities to the advancement and betterment of human welfare. Advancement and betterment are terms for change.
Yep.
And our clients come to us, because they're trying to navigate change, and they need us to help them through that. But I think the other part of this is we have to change ourselves to best serve our clients. And everything's changing around us in ways that we cannot control. The way we change, the best way to serve our clients is to adapt. And training is about changing and adapting. And that's where I want to go. Bottom line, I am convinced, and I know that our surveying technicians deserve and need good quality training. And that's why I do what I do.
Very good. Well, I would be amiss if I didn't offer up my typical last question for our guests. You're no different than anyone else. You've got all these irons in the fire, but how does the future of surveying look to you?
Future of surveying. Wow. I'm going to say pretty bright. Especially for people who are willing to try new things. People are willing to try new things, implement new tools. I am amazed at the creativity of some of the surveyors in our region as companies. They are not only are they embracing new tools, but they are, oh, shall I say, uh, riding those new tools hard enough to break them, finding out what are their strengths, what are their
Hmm.
weaknesses, and so they're saying they're able to say, well, this new tool is pretty cool, but it still doesn't do this one task as well as this thing that we've used for maybe 100 years. So they're getting smarter than their equipment. They know how to match the tool to the task. But I really I I'm really kind of in awe of those folks who are um, they may not be the earliest adopters, but they jump in and but they also are willing to say, hey, yeah, we tried this. We had great expectations and it was pretty disappointing. We're going to put it back on the shelf, but not saying that it might come back off the shelf someday. So I think the future is bright for folks who are um, willing to experiment, willing to be creative, and then fill their organizations with people who have that same mindset. Um, I I look at what AI may be able to do. I'm a little bit of a skeptic on that. I'm around here. I live in farm country, and farmers have been using AI, for a long time. I didn't know what artificial insemination had to do with computing. But now I've learned that AI stands for something different. It's artificial
Yes. Yeah.
something, yeah. And I know,
Yeah.
but the it's fascinating to me. In fact, I was using AI a little earlier. I was asking some questions, trying to figure something out. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is search engine on steroids. I like this. But what we're seeing, like with Deed Reader Pro, saw a demonstration of that. Ooh, I was impressed. That was
Yeah. That's
cool.
pretty good stuff.
That's pretty good stuff. So, technology is still going to be a big thing for us. Um, I don't think we need to worship it, uh, but I I appreciate watching the efforts of creative people, and I think it's true in most industries. Watch the creative people because those are the ones who are going to be leading our profession. And I really enjoy learning from them, and I honestly think they're going to be the leaders of our future.
Oh, very good. Well, Todd, I appreciate your time. I I was I was very very pleased that we wanted to talk about this because this technician training is such an important part of where the future goes from here, and it we have to be able to keep pushing our people to want to learn more, and that goes for the older generation too, to get them involved, to be even to
Oh yeah,
the train the
oh yeah,
trainer part of it. That
absolutely.
there are next steps to your career besides just getting
Yeah,
older and doing it. I guess that's been the hard thing for even me to realize that you do look in the mirror and yeah, you see the old guy in the mirror, but uh we've been around long enough that we do have stuff we can share, and we do have some things
yes,
to help train others. And there's so many others out there that need to
yeah.
hopefully realize that someday soon.
Oh yeah. I think especially surveyors that are nearing retirement. This may be a good way for you to plug in because you know there's a certain flexibility that comes when you're an empty nester. Um,
Yes.
so when you are, nearing the time with your organization where you may be stepping away. So some of the people I've been talking with already are of that age and very well qualified. So I'm not saying we need necessarily the youngest people to do this, although if we had some younger folks that wanted to step up and join this effort, man, I'd absolutely welcome
Oh,
that.
That would be great.
For you listeners that are thinking, I want to be able to do that, then
Yep.
please reach out. You can find me, if you want to, you can find me on LinkedIn. And then, the company is meridiangeospatial.com, all one word, meridiangeospatial.com. So you can reach out and be happy to continue the conversation with anybody. But Tim, thank you very much for having me today. This has been good to catch up with you a little bit.
Oh, it is good to catch up with you. And it's always good to talk to another Flatlander, because I probably told you this, but let's share this with the audience at another time. Recent trip to the New York Society, they introduced me as being licensed in Illinois, where surveys are flat, square, and easy. And I challenged them.
Easy, huh?
I challenged them to come out and retrace a section. So anyway.
Yeah. I get that.
So it's always good to talk to a brother from the heartland.
All right. Well, from the land of tall corn.
Yes,
there we are.
That it is. So,
okay.
All right. Well, that'll wrap it up for this episode of Surveyor Says. Wherever you listen to your podcast, please hit that subscribe button, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. You've been listening to Surveyor Says, the NSPS podcast, brought to you by the National Society of Professional Surveyors. If you have any questions about today's episode or any other topic, please email us at info@nsps.us.com, as we are here to help. Subscribe to the podcast on most of your favorite streaming platforms, as well as our podcast host, Podbean. For more information about the podcast and NSPS, please visit our website, nsps.us.com. And remember, it's a great day to be a surveyor.